Welcome, everybody, to another Advancing Consciousness podcast. Today is episode 21, and we're going to be playing with how real is our world. The word our is going to be focused upon because we have more than one world that we seem to be experiencing. So stay tuned and let's explore. So here we are. We get to play again. We get to play with all the beautiful unfoldments of the planet and everything that's going on. So in today's episode, we're going to look at how real is our world. As I said, there's more than one world that we play with. There's our personal world, which is the world that we create around ourselves in our day-to-day world reality that we play. Now, our world can associate just ourselves and the environment we create and how we play with the energies within it, how we experience ourselves within it, and so forth. Then we have the extended part of our world, which involves other individuals. Could be a partner, can be children, can be other family dynamics, can be just spending space or sharing space with someone else. And then we have other worlds, which we have the work world, we have our friendship world, we have other affiliations that we create within other constructs like religion and other extended family dynamics and so forth. But the other part of the world is the world all around us that we all share, everyone on the planet. So the question is, how real is it? Well, everything is as real as we make it. If we had to look at the real makeup of everything, it's basically a holographic video game that we're involved in. In fact, our human physical representation, what we call the physicality and everything around us, is a holographic projection. The world itself is a holographic projection. The solar system, the galaxy, the universe, you name it. We're in this field we call source. In this field, we create what we call realities and worlds. But let's bring it close to home. Let's take a look at how real is our world. Well, our original design, our true design, how it feels the most natural for us, we want a certain level of realism in whatever we're playing with. Yes, we want to get lost in the realism and really get into the intense part of the experience itself. But sometimes what happens, and I say that loosely sometimes because really, in fact, all the time, for the majority, we get lost and make our worlds, because there's more than one, wherever you're playing, super real, unflexible, with limitations, and feel isolated or entrapped by it. Sometimes we create or see that we were involved in a world creation that we're a prison of. And the prison part of it is because we feel that this world is concrete, real. It cannot be changed. And if there's any changes, it could be from outside with other individuals, or that in fact it takes a long time with a lot of effort to change any part of it. That being the case, then we can look at it and we put a lot of realism. The other part of the realism is that when we adopt the perception that the world is the way it is, we have less of a chance to remain creative, imaginative, explorative, to access other levels of creation within ourselves, to redesign, reshape our different worlds that we interact with and play with. When we make it real, we can get really in the depth of the intensities and feel that in some way or another that this intensity is more powerful than you. It's when your creation, which we call the world, is more powerful than you. The interesting part is that does not exist unless you create it. But we get to that level of realism, which is illusionary, of course, that we lose perspective, we lose contact and connection to us, the true us as the creator, the true us as the designer, the true us that is the shaper of all existence. In fact, we wouldn't even be able to see and experience any part of it if we're not embodied in it. But it's not rigid, it's not limited, but we can create that illusionary or adopt that illusionary part. And feeling that we are trapped on our world or that we were placed on this world and that we did not have a choice, then the realism can get to another level, which can accentuate polarity, separation, and so forth. As much as we want to play with the whole idea that the world is real, after all, this is the way we can experience things in a powerful way, but we also have to realize that realism is under our control. That realism is under our reshaping capacities. It's not outside of us. Look at this. We shift our focus. We shift our access to consciousness. We gain experiences. We become more aware. And guess what? Our immediate world starts going through a shift. Our immediate world is our own environment, our own interaction with ourselves. Because there is interactions with ourselves. There is a body, there's a human entity, there's a soul, there's a mind. And of course, we have the extra bonus, the ego, which is the artificial intelligence component. So that world, that environment, that interaction, that connection starts to change. What changed? Access to consciousness, awareness. But that does not stay stagnant or isolated in any way or shape or form, because what happens as you are changing, your personal world, your so-called closed confine of your world changes, your extended world starts to change also. The intensity of the realism of it also shifts. Because remember, when the realism shifts, we do not lose the contents of the experience. We gain the contents of knowing that we can shift any part of it and that we are active and online in the redesigning and reshaping every part of it. It's not outside of us. And that's the beauty of it all, and completely. So, right now we're going through powerful, powerful transformation. What is it doing? It's stimulating us to shift our focus, perception, and the way we create our so-called reality/world. See, we're shifting away from the realism that had created the limits and shifting into the realism of understanding and knowing that this is a holographic playground that you have chosen to play within fully and completely, and it is completely reshapeable, and that is where you're stepping in to do just that. Now, when we leave the physical form, we realize more fully that it's a holographic dream state movie, video game that we made real. I mean, like I said, there's a purpose behind the realism to really get to the depth of the experience. But right now we are looking at shifting away from the limited realism to the flexible realism and seeing that it's not real, but you can utilize the experience. It's like any video game that you would play. You know it's not real, but you can get into it and play it and have the sensorial experience and whatever else is entailed, including an advanced skill set, by playing the game. And that's what we're experiencing, becoming more aware of the game with the full capacities to get into the depth of the game, but not getting lost in the game, not getting lost in our various worlds. You didn't come here to get lost. You agreed to take that on for a period of time. You came here to be active, to really design every part of it and experience it. Experiencing it and limiting itself as just a real world without flexibility is a huge difference. It plays out very differently. Imagine you getting in front of a video game and saying, that is my life. It's life and death. It's success and failure. If I don't make it, I stop existing. I know you wouldn't do that with a video game. Some people get really addicted to it and can feel that it's part of the game, but they still realize it's a game and they still want to get to a certain level with it. But many of us do that in this world. Our immediate personal world and all the extended worlds, including the world we call planet Earth, Gaia, whatever name you want to give it. So it's shifting the realism to self-directed realism with self-directed designing of the realism and experiencing of the realism, which never gets into the lost closed loop realism as we have done before. All of it was a great experience. Give us the opportunity to have the experiences that we had, and it was amazing. But now, guess what? We want to shift away from the closed realism to something more expansive, and that is what we are doing. See, when we're looking at the realism, it also entails everything that's going on. All the different playmates, all the different systems, all the different constructs and rules and so forth. If we make those parts of it real, concrete, that we cannot budge or change, then guess what? It will dictate how you experience things. It will dictate how you would advance. It will dictate how much freedom you have within it, how much capacities of redesign, reshaping you have. It will dictate all of that. There is no right or wrong about any of this. It's just a realization that you come upon. And that within that realization, it shifts tremendously how you experience this experience. Because when we look at realism, for the last 10,000 years, we have played in the depth of that realism. And guess what? We've kept coming back. I can't say everyone, but a good chunk of us have kept coming back to play that game and not to get lost in the so-called projected realism. This time, that's not the case. To get totally lost in it, yes, maybe for a period of time, but now to also realize that other layers are opening up and that we are participating accordingly. So we're not lost in it in any way, shape, or form. We engage with it. We shape it. We play with it. We utilize it. We advance. We grow. We expand. We accentuate, advance our creativity, imagination, our capability. We upgrade every facet of the game from the physical form and beyond all the other extended worlds that we play with. We advance also the different playmates that we have within this world, which again are all holographic projection versions of ourselves, but we enhance every part of it. The dance enhances everything. We have the freedom and we have the choice that we can make at any time to make the world as real as we want, with the complete, absolute flexibility to adjust the level of realism along the way, so that we always feel that empowered creator state and be able to move in and out of experiences, in and out of creations, and play with the flexibility of our true design, not as only our holographic projection, but the holographic projection of our world. We will not any longer choose to give power and submit to rules and so forth that have dictated and restricted us along the way. Great experience, awesome experience, but now what? We don't see it longer that way. You're okay to play the game. You're okay to dive into it. You're okay to do any part of it, but you're not totally lost in it. And if you are, it's temporary, just to get to the depth of it. But you know that? Many of us have under our belt a huge amount of experience in that way. So the desire to get lost completely 100% is not really there. Yes, it can be alluring, it can be addictive to play it in such a fashion. I don't want to lose the realism. Sometimes fear comes about on losing any form of realism, because I worked hard to make this real, to give it power, to control me and so forth, and I don't want to lose it. Because now I want to see what I can gain from it being lost in it. And that's okay. You can do that. You can do that for as long as you choose. However, we're also moving forward in such a way where that's not going to be a long-term option any longer. And that's the beauty of it. Because that way we can move a lot quicker through the different transitions, through the different states, and have ourselves to play at a completely different level. So the question comes back, how real is our world? Our world is as real as we want to make it. And it lasts, that realism lasts as long as we want it to, and it serves us. We have the freedom at all times to engage in and out of that realism, to engage in and out of power, empowerment and disempowerment. It's all up to us. It's always been and always will be. We wanted to forget that, and we did. Now we want to remember, and we are. In stages, bit by bit. That's how perfect it is. That's how beautiful this dance is. So as the empowered being that you are, realizing that the world is only as real as you want to make it. The world has only as much power as you give it power. As much as you subject it to its structures and operating systems within it, which are just made up concepts. You can dive in and swim back out at any point. That's the freedom. With the realization that the world is only as real as you are, now you get into the state of creating your world and shaping it according to what resonates, feels the most in tune to you at each step of the way. By doing so, you also are able to stay in that flexibility, moving in and out of all creations, all designs, and all worlds. Because you also have the option what world you're going to play with, who you're going to engage with, what part you want to engage with. Because if you look at the world, It all depends on us, how much we will dive into it and what we take on and play out. We have the freedom and always had the freedom to dance with it, allow it to play out accordingly. Just as an example, look at the world right now. There's so much going on, so much polarity, so much idea that we need to be afraid that it's going to go one way or another, it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, that we have no freedom to make a choice of how we experience life, what we wear, what we do, and so forth. If we have to distance, if we can hug, we can connect, we can do anything or anything at this point. All of that. Some of us make that world, that concept, that belief system, that cluster so real that their world is shaped accordingly. And others, less. And some others, not at all. Let them play in their world. I may be in the world, but I am not adopting it and I'm making it real. I shape my world as I choose. Yes, what's around me is what it is, but I give it realism or not. I choose if I engage or not. I am the one that's going to dive into a group or not. That's the realization. That's the beauty of it. So in that case, you could see the world for what it is, but the realism is not to the same degree. This is the determining factor. The more real you make it, the more you are involved in the game and seeing very minimal, if not at all, of opportunity outside the game. Big difference. Huge difference. Anyways, I'll leave that for you to ponder, to play with, and a question to ask yourself: how real is your world? It's up to you. How real you make it, how you utilize it, how you shape it, what you interact with, and what you don't. It's all yours. It's all cool. So go out and play, and we'll see you on the next episode.